Hi everyone, today I want to talk about skin problems, and is it true that they will never ever go away? 3 or 4 years ago, I found this comment on one of the forums, the websites. I don't even remember what I was doing on that forum, what was exactly I was looking for, because I never really had issues with my skin except when I was a teenager. And actually, I'll share my protocol, what I did as a teenager, what the cosmetologist advised me that I would do. And it was really, really good advice. It actually worked really, really well for my teenage skin. And cleaning up my diet also helps. So whenever I eat dairy or sugar, I do have acne. However, when I don't eat dairy or sugar, my skin is really, really, really beautiful. And I get complimented on it all the time. Anyhow, because the body-mind connection is something that always interested me for all the years that I just remember myself reading all these health books, and it's one of the actually fields that I specialize in. People come to me when they have issues with their health. As a health consultant, I have to dive deep into the psychology of it. But let me read you the comment first. I turned 36 last week and I've had acne on and off since I was 14. I've tried everything under the sun: antibiotics, twice daily BP, dietary changes, washing in salt water, tretinoin. The only thing I haven't tried is Accutane, and that's not an option because I live in China. Some things worked for a while. BP worked for a good few years there. I switched to a low GI diet 2 years ago, and that worked for a good long time, but recently seems to make no difference. And that's always the way it goes. No matter what I do, it comes back. I don't need to tell other users on this board about the psychological effect acne has on you. It's completely destroyed my self-confidence. I constantly worry about what I will look like tomorrow. I never commit to anything further than a few days away because I have no idea if I'll be in the mood to see people or not. I cannot hold down a relationship, and I would certainly never get married because I'm too frightened of what I would look like on the wedding day. I guess I have to kind of make peace with it because it's obviously never going to stop. And I decided to analyze this right here so that those of you who sympathize with this post and have similar problems may get an insight into what's happening. So, when you've tried everything, such as antibiotics, BP, dietary changes, washing in salt water, and Accutane, because I know some people who've tried Accutane, there are a lot of side effects, and Accutane is expensive, and it really damages your liver, and there's like a lot of side effects. Anyway, so everything been tried under the sun, and some things seem to work for a little while, but then the problem comes back. And the girl suffered since she was 14. So that is what, 22 years of trying different things. She doesn't say anything about trying psychological approach. So let me venture into this realm. I'll tell you, if she came to see me, what I would ask and what I would work on. So she says that acne destroyed her confidence. But the thing is, when you're 14, when you start having issues with acne, your confidence is pretty low anyhow, most of the time. As a teenager, things are shifting way too much. The body is changing. Your hormones are changing. Your self-confidence really takes a hit. So the first thing I would work with this lady would be her self-confidence and self-esteem. Forget about the skin for a while. I think the main issue here is self-esteem. The second issue here is I constantly worry about what I will look like tomorrow, and I worry how I will look like on my wedding day. For this lady, the looks are very, very, very important. They're so important that it seems to be taking the center stage. She is actually preventing herself from living her life just based on the fact that her skin, and she has acne on and off, right? So it's not even like it's psoriasis. It's not really an eczema. Yeah, there are some really, really bad cystic acne cases. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you cannot get married. It doesn't mean that the guys won't be interested in you. It doesn't mean anything. But what it shows is that in her internal viewpoint, in her internal reality, her looks is what's important. It's not her character. It's not her kind heart. It's not her achievements. It's just like how I look. And in this way, you can safely assume that this lady got stuck in her mindset at age of 14. At age of 14, the looks are important. At age of 14, you start caring about how you look because, like I said, everything's changing, the body is changing. And if you don't have anything that you were complimented on, let's say before the age of 14, this girl was very pretty and she was constantly complimented on her looks. And her self-esteem is literally based on how she looks like. So obviously when the acne began, and I'm pretty sure, apart from the acne, something else was happening in her life. And I'm safe to assume that her parents probably didn't praise her much for anything else. She might have been praised on her looks, but that's it. So she has no internal self-support that would take her through this hard times of acne breakouts. And there's no attitude that allows her to feel strong and confident and capable. And the acne constantly brings her back with that pain of not being pretty, of not being self-confident. And the fact is, there's probably a lot of shame too, because she says, I don't know if I'll be in the mood to see people because I don't want them to see the way I am. I don't want them to see the real me. And there's this thing about self-judgment. Oh, by the way, I have a pimple. There's a lot of self-judgment about looks and how I appear to others and how people will respond to me. And in her mind, most likely, she thinks that people are very judgmental and they will only like her because of her flawless skin, which is not true. So the other thing I would work with her is like, why do you think so badly about other people? What makes you think people are so judgmental? Why do you have so much shame? And again, most likely her parents were very judgmental because we learn and absorb this way of treating ourselves and treating the world and thinking of how the world responds to us solely based on what our caretakers were creating in our environment when we were children. So if our parents were judgmental, we're gonna be judgmental. I cannot hold down a relationship, and I don't know if I'll be in the mood to see other people. That's another clue that tells me there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt, and there's a lot of judgment. Because when you are in a relationship, being in a relationship makes you pretty vulnerable. And it requires you to be fairly open. And for the true intimacy to occur, you must be able to show yourself exactly as you are. And a lot of people actually wear masks in relationships. And that's why a lot of people are not satisfied with relationships, because they're always tense. They're always worrying about, how am I going to be perceived by my partner? I need to create that certain image. I need to create that certain mask. I cannot be authentic. I cannot be myself. Again, that's the shame speaking. So the shame, the fear of judgment, the guilt, unless it's worked through, it's going to continue. The body will continue coming up with acne for 3 reasons. The first reason is when the girl has acne, she has an excuse to hide away from people. For her, acne becomes an escape route if you will. She can always say, oh my God, I have such a big, pimple or cystic acne, whatever it is. I am disgusting, I'm hideous, right? I cannot be seen like that. It's like Fiona in Shrek. During the day, she's a beautiful maid. At night, she turns into an ogre. So people with skin issues always feel like an ogre. People with skin issues, they're very, very beautiful people, actually. But because they haven't learned to like themselves as they are, it has never been modeled for them, or they've only been praised for their looks, then they start worrying, and they seem to only exist when they're being praised. And when they're not being praised, then they're just constantly worrying. And sometimes, in order to handle all that conflict, all that tension, it's easier to isolate yourself from people rather than dealing with this idea of, are they gonna like me or not? And it's a bit sad. It's very sad when you think that people only like you because of the way you look, because of a certain way that you behave. That's very conditional loving that's been instilled. But if you decide and find in yourself the strength to deal with that shame, to change your conditioning, to forgive your parents, and to realize that no, your self-esteem is, you're so much more than your looks, then you have this good chance of starting to heal the skin. And your body doesn't have to save you through the acne breakouts or eczema or any other skin issues, because you no longer have that need to have escape routes. I hope that it was useful, and if you want me to maybe dive deep into your situation or talk about some health issue, let me know. And subscribe and like this video if you liked it. Have a good day.